Well, let me just put this on the table. I've actually grown to really like you. And that may be the worst thing you hear from me all day, but I actually have, because
Thank you.
I watched the Netflix thing, found out a lot more about you, about your life, about your upbringing, what you'd come through, and the honesty I felt that you brought to what you'd gone through and the self-awareness that you had. I felt, I mean, look, I wouldn't use a phrase as patronising as it felt like you'd grown up, but it definitely felt like you'd evolved as a human being, and we're able to look back on that period when we first locked horns and recognise that that was not a path to any glory. That was just going to be completely self-defeating. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I think we all grow up at our own pace. But yeah, I definitely look where I was in 2016, where you and I had the run in. And look, a bit of credit would have been nice from you. I mean, it was fourth round of Wimbledon against one of the greatest of all time. I thought that in itself was a pretty good achievement. But yeah, look, I've grown up immensely. I look back at, you know, those Twitter beefs that I've had. I've had one with you, I've had one with Drake, and I just look back and I'm just saying, like, these are just so silly. And when I've met all these people that I've had beef with, we actually get along extremely well. I mean, I could imagine that you and I could go for a beer and for a drink and we'd have a great time with all the stories and experiences that we've both had. But yeah, I guess that Netflix series was really good for me personally, because it gave a bit of background into, you know, people think that I've been entitled and got given everything off a plate. But, you know, when I was young, my family didn't have much. You know, I had to kind of work for everything that was thrown my way. And yeah, I went through my own struggles, and it was common struggles that most people do go through. So that's why I'm very relatable. So I think that's why it was very important.
There's an interesting part of the Netflix thing where the shows about some of the critics you've had, and I pop up. Let's take a look at that.
You were having a bit of a interaction, if you like, with the line judges, and at one point I think you said you're in your 90s, you can't see the ball.
I hit a ball in.
Right.
The old man called it out. It was in. So arguably, if the guy was 40, he may not have called that out.
Do you have any sympathy with how sometimes they're treated by players, for example?
Well, they're not getting abused on social media. Like, I have to deal with, my girlfriend deals with hate messages, my family deals with hate messages, I deal with hate messages.
Okay, thank you very much.
No worries.
Thanks, thank you very much.
The man's out of control. Can you put up any defence for this Antipodean monster?
There's plenty of Australians who think he's an absolute tool.
I got to say, it's slightly awkward looking at some of the stuff I said about you, with you sitting there watching me as I do it. But in a way, you kind of brought that treatment on yourself. You know, I would argue. I think you felt like it was part of your brand. You're an uncompromising, brash character, right? And you probably factored in, well, this is going to make me more interesting, right?
Not on that particular day. First of all, Erin Molan, that person, the Australian reporter, I have no idea who that person is. So her opinion to me doesn't matter, and I'm happy she had her 5 minutes of fame. But also, yeah, that day, like, I've just played a 4.5-hour match, and I brought my food into the press conference because I'm not sure if you've been an elite athlete before, but when you finish a match for 4 hours, you need to fuel your body because it's a very crucial part of your recovery. So I thought I'd bring my sushi in to the press conference room because I had media to do and I didn't want to make people wait because people have bookings for the media room. So there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that I got criticised for, and you know, many other tennis players have brought beers into the press conference room, eating in the press conference room, and they don't get absolutely battered in the media for it. I just brought some sushi and thought I'd kill two birds with one stone, get my media done, look after my nutrition, be professional. But obviously that got taken out for a spin, and it was like, oh, he's eating in a press conference room, he's Judas. But you know, that was hard. But I mean, why would we? I just don't understand. It's Wimbledon. It's one of the biggest sporting events in the world with millions of dollars on the line. Why would we let line calls be given to chance? Why would we not have electric line calling, or at least give the players the best chance to compete in a fair environment? So I'm just very black and white. I'm not trying to act. I just strongly believe that there should be electronic line calling because then it doesn't leave hundreds and thousands of dollars on the line to maybe a chance or a bad day or something like that. And sorry that I was just looking after my nutrition with 5 bits of sushi. My goodness. Jeez.
You know what,
Sorry,
Nick?
Piers. I had to eat.
I'll give you the first point. I agree with you about the line calling. It is ridiculous if you have some old crusty at Wimbledon who can barely see straight, ruling something out when it's in or the other way around.
Thank you.
I'm not going to give you sushi because Roger Federer would never do that because he's too classy and he'd have too much respect for the journalists. So that you're not going to get a pass on that.
But I'm not Roger Federer. You can't expect everyone to be Roger Federer. You can't do that. That's unfair. That's very unfair. That means 99% of the tennis tour are not up to Roger Federer's standard. That's sport. That's personality. Like, you know what I mean? He also has 9 people in his team to make sure that he has food ready. I only had 3. I had my girlfriend, I had my best friend, my agent, and my physio. So I don't have the luxury of having 13 people to tie my shoelaces like Roger Federer, or make sure I have a white vest to walk on the court with. I have to do these things mostly on my own. So that's where a bit of understanding, like, to compare Nick Kyrgios to Roger Federer is ridiculous.
Well, hang on. I'm not comparing you to him as a player or anything to do with his entourage or anything. I'm just saying he'd never eat sushi at a press conference, which is something you don't need to be told what to do you?
But what's wrong with that? I'm looking after my nutrition, and it's a very common thing that tennis players do in every tournament. It's not abnormal for a player to eat or snack on something because I just came off the court. I didn't have any time to do recovery. They told me that was my press conference time, so I had to eat.
How would you feel?
What do you want me to do?
How would you feel if, while we're talking right now in an interview that's going to be beamed around the world, I just start munching on sushi?
But you didn't play. You didn't play at Wimbledon for 4 hours.
You've no idea what I've been doing.
You had ample time to prepare to get breakfast. Tennis. Yeah, but tennis is one of the only sports in the world where you don't know how long the match will go for, and it could be an hour and a half. It could be 4 hours. So plans change. You have to be You have to be able to adapt. That's why Novak's, for me, the greatest athlete, because it's not like a football match where you play a certain 90 minutes, or it's a NBA game where you have 48 minutes. It's like there's so many things and intangibles that can happen. Like, I had to eat. It was not. Obviously, if my match went for an hour and a half, I would have said, oh, yeah, no, I'll eat later. But I had to eat at that time.
Okay.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and like, if I was talking to Rafael Nadal or Novak Djokovic, I'd be like, yeah, no, 100%. But Piers Morgan, it's like, it's a problem.
Well, I'll tell you what is a problem for me, is your inference earlier that I don't understand the mentality of an elite tennis player. I'd like to play you a clip of when I took on Serena Williams in New York.
Oh, God, here we go. Let's have a look at this. Oh, that's not bad.
That was nice.
Oh, you're carrying on like Nick Kyrgios. It's like,
You know what? I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. It wasn't Wimbledon, but...
I didn't want to play that clip, but you forced me into it with your taunting about me not being an elite level tennis player. That is me beating the greatest female player in history. I'm not claiming any credit. Obviously, I'm a man.
Beating.
I'm more powerful. I'm faster, more skillful. But a win's a win.
Yeah, you looked good. Your technique was a lot better than I thought, but you looked in a bit better shape back then, Piers. So how about when I get healthy, we take it to the courts and we sort it out once and for all.
Well, you know what? I'll do that. And actually, I do need a bit more sushi in my diet. That's true.
Got to lay off the pints.